What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So in less than 2 weeks, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom will release, and we all figured as we got closer and closer to that release day, it would eventually leak online. Well, now it looks like Nintendo may be dealing with that situation sooner than even they thought, and we'll go over that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I had mentioned to close out last week that the launch was not going well, and now it appears things are continuing to get worse. And we'll also be talking about a bit of a game reveal that was pretty random because it actually came out of the NFL draft. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure to hit that like button, helps that a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're going to start today with Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. Came out a little over 2 weeks ago, and people were pretty excited for the idea of it since there's a lot of value there. And obviously, if you grew up with the Battle Network series and maybe played one or two of them, to have all of them at your disposal in one collection is pretty enticing. Well, we had a bit of an update when it comes to sales, and this got to the milestone pretty quick. You can see this posted up by Nintendo Everything. It says, Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection sales surpass 1 million copies worldwide. In about 2 weeks. That is incredibly impressive, actually. I think it's mentioned that Mega Man Legacy Collection is currently sitting at 1.3 million units sold, which is the best when it comes to kind of the collections they've done in the Mega Man line. And then on top of that, Mega Man 11 is the best-selling Mega Man game. That's at 1.6 million copies. So it kind of looks like just the Battle Network Collection is going to eclipse that pretty easily if it cracked 1 million sold in just its first 2 weeks. And it does make you wonder where Capcom will go from here, because at least right now, the Mega Man franchise is on the uptick. So do they do a new Battle Network game? Do they have Mega Man 12? Do they do X9? I just hope they have other plans for Mega Man just going forward as opposed to just outright collections. Would like to see some new games there because the sales show that, yes, there's an audience for it. Also, we had talked last week about how it looked like LEGO was preparing to unveil some Donkey Kong sets, and they have done just that. These will be releasing August 1st, and there are 4 different sets outlined here by The Verge. We also have some images of these different LEGO sets. So to start, there's a Treehouse set that's $60, even has Cranky Kong in there as well. There's a $110 Diddy Kong's Minecart Ride expansion that you can pick up. There's also a Dixie Kong Jungle Jam that's $27, and then Rambi the Rhino. That one's $11, and it's just them continuing to build off of what's been fairly successful for them with Nintendo with the Super Mario Lego sets and collections. Those continue to sell really well, and they're branching off now to Donkey Kong, and I'm sure they have plans for other franchises. I mean, The Legend of Zelda seems like a slam dunk, but there's a lot they can pull from with Nintendo, and it seems like the partnership is just growing. Oh, and speaking of Mario, I mentioned that the Super Mario movie seemed on track to hit that $1 billion mark at the box office very, very quickly, and, well, looks like it's done it. We can see this posted up by Deadline, who's been tracking this week to week. I think last week it was closing in right at about 900 million, but now it says Super Mario Bros. Movie tops 1 billion worldwide, smashes studio records in Japan, the international box office. So there we have it. Nintendo and Illumination coming together, making a movie that was able to generate $1 billion very, very quickly. So clearly Nintendo, this is probably just their starting point when it comes to the big screen, and I would expect a follow-up, obviously, a Super Mario movie 2 or something, or maybe they'll title it something different there. Probably something with The Legend of Zelda, that seems obvious. Metroid, F-Zero, Star Fox, Kid Icarus, Kirby. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. They could even probably do a series with Animal Crossing or something. There's just a lot of possibilities here, and I would like to see them not only do things with on the big screen, but also do series through streaming services like an Amazon or Netflix or anything there. But a lot of possibilities. And once again, Nintendo, their intellectual properties are, I would say, at an all-time high when it comes to brand recognition and strength. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and a situation that's continued to evolve over the weekend, and it looks like something Nintendo is going to have to figure out how to deal with, because the game just seems to be getting out there now in the wild. In fact, it's even being sold right now, it seems. And you can see this posted up. This was a listing that was noticed, and it's over on a site called Mercari. I've never used it. It looks kind of like an eBay site where people are listing things and then people are buying them and all of this. But images started to show up here with a listing for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and it was only going for $100 with free shipping, which $30 more than the retail price. And I'm sure there's a fee for Macari and stuff, I guess similar to eBay. Doesn't seem like that much more to get it this early, right? I mean, it still has to be shipped to you, but it looks like it was posted and sold immediately just about on the 29th of April. But I looked through the seller's history and they really don't have any sales history of video games. They mostly just do shoes and clothes and that sort of thing. And then they posted another one. This time, however, it's for $300. So what I think happened here, well, one, the person, whoever is selling these, probably got them out of the warehouse, fell off the back of a truck. There a lot of ways I'm sure these things get out there, but clearly they have multiple copies, and what they've done is most likely realize, oh, I have something that can that people really want and can go for more than $100. Let's try $300. Well, guess what? It's sold immediately. So to me, it's just someone who's unfamiliar with the video game space and how much these things are worth, and they're quickly figuring out that they could probably charge even more than $300 at this point, because we're technically, like 10 days or so away, or 12 days from the release of Tears of the Kingdom. So even if you express ship it, someone could have this game 10 days early to, yes, leak stuff out all over the place, or do what I figure would happen, dump the game on and then spread it all over the place online. People will data mine it, rush to the end of the game through emulators and so on. And I'll admit, initially I saw this, I was very skeptical, but especially with the second listing, they took more pictures of it. Looks like it's a new copy that's sealed in the shrink wrap. And then on the back, there's a UPC code that people have been sort of matching up to different systems, whether it's at, like, I guess, Target or Best Buy or wherever, and it seems to match up. So most likely these are coming out of the warehouse. There are also images that were posted up of a collector's edition. That one was still in the box, however, and it wasn't like up for sale or anything. So it could have been actually in a warehouse and someone saw it, snapped a picture, posted online. I do want to put one other thing out there though. I've been getting some information, and I have reason to believe right now that this game is going to appear online after being dumped, potentially as soon as today. All right. So with that in mind, you're going to want to be careful out there, because trust me, the data mining will happen. A lot of spoilers will be posted, whether it's on Twitter, YouTube, etc. And Nintendo is, they're going to be taking notice, and I'm curious what they'll be doing. I mean, I figure they're going to start copyright striking left, right, all over the place, trying to get these videos and tweets and stuff pulled down. But once it's out there and it starts spreading, going to be very difficult to contain. But as usual, I will keep you guys up to date on the situation here to see if you basically have to start muting words all over the place and essentially go dark online to try to avoid any spoilers. Because again, once it gets out there, people seem to get a kick out of just trying to spoil these games for everyone. So I guess we'll see as we go along this week, starting today. Next up, let's talk about Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I'm very excited to pick this game up, and unfortunately it was fairly disappointing with how it's turned out when it comes to the performance side, specifically on PC, but I'm playing on the Xbox and it has all kinds of problems with frame rate, resolution, all of this. And we did get a response from Respawn, and well, people aren't taking too kindly to it, because the response is mostly, hey, we are going to work to fix this, but you're running on Windows 10, maybe your configuration's a bit off, your drivers and stuff, basically saying it might be your fault more or less, but the fact that so many people are having these issues, it's pretty clear that the game itself just wasn't ready for release. The fact that they told us that there would be patches ahead of time, not helping any. And then you can see even over on Metacritic, people are taking it out on the user scores, with the lowest one right now being on PC, where you'd sort of expect it, coming in at a 1.8 user score. To go along with this, people have also noticed that there appears to be some sort of DRM that's, well, some have found out that if you log into it twice, that the game will just start locking you out because it thinks you're on multiple devices and stuff. It's been rough for this game. And then, well, Digital Foundry had their hand at it, showed off the PS5 version, and, well, me saying there was dithering on the character and performance mode and how soft the image looked when we were talking about on the podcast, seems like I was onto something there, because the PS5 has dips down to 864p, and in some cases they were able to find it being sub 720 at times based on the X and Y axes and all these things when it comes to pixel counting. Now it is using reconstruction to move back up to 1440p, But even with all of that done, the resolution drop being so low, being so aggressive with how dynamic it is, the frame rate is just all over the place. And the most disappointing part about all of this, as I've been playing this game over the weekend, it's really good. I just can't recommend it to people because of its current state. So maybe in 6 or 7 months, it'll at least be patched to the point where it's manageable and it's not terrible performance like this. And then I can recommend it, because as I'm playing it, I'm on like the 3rd planet now. I guess technically 4th, I guess, but it keeps opening up, and there are just these side quests that continue to be added on to the list of things to do. And then you have an entire town almost that you're recruiting people to. You're building up a garden. There's a whole like side mini game thing that you gain new monsters and people to fight with you by scanning them out in the wild, and you have all these stances and weapons and allies that fight alongside of you, and there's just a lot going on here, and I almost wonder if they got a little too ambitious for their own good, trying to get this game out in, 3 years? So it's unfortunate at this point, but I'm hoping eventually this game is at least in functioning order. The one good thing is it hasn't crashed on me with the Xbox, I guess, but after what Digital Foundry found, where ray tracing was heavily relied on, I mean, I'd be okay turning it off, even if things looked really flat, if the frame rate and stuff would get better, because for me, it comes more down to the performance when I'm in combat and stuff, rather than trying to look at the shiny objects literally on the wall as I'm trying to swing around a lightsaber. But let me know what you think about Jedi Survivor, especially if you've been playing it since launch, at least what your take is on the current state of the game. Next up, let's talk about an interesting situation that's going on with Sony and the PlayStation 5. Now, they showed off their financials to close out the week on Friday, and I talked about that a bit on Saturday, so if you want to see kind of an in-depth look at what exactly happened there, check that video out. But essentially, the PS5 had a record-breaking calendar Q1, so January, February, and March, shipping out 6.3 million PlayStation 5s, which is an all-time record overall in the video game industry for consoles that were shipped out in that time period. But on the software side, there was something odd happening where it appears they're actually down when it comes to units sold, but with a bit of a twist when it comes to the revenue. And in fact, we can see this pointed out over on Tweaktown, where they say software revenues were likewise at an all-time high. Data provided by Sony indicates that PlayStation gamers spent $6.367 billion in combined digital and physical software purchases. So yeah, Sony's not exactly hurting right now. Hardware is pulling in record numbers, and so is software, but overall game unit sales were down quite a bit for fiscal year 22, dropping to 264.2 million games sold, which represents a substantial 39 million drop in unit sales from a year ago. So they're selling less games, but making more money just overall from the games that they are selling, which makes sense because the games went up $10. They're 70 as opposed to 60. And I kind of figured this would happen over time, especially to start the generation, because if you think about it, they're trying to get people to move from the PS4 to the PS5. That's where the $70 games are in general. So technically they're selling $70 games to a smaller pool of gamers right now. But the fact that they're able to sell less games currently and still make more money, I guess in Sony's mind, where they're just trying to make the most amount of money possible, it's not a bad trade-off, but obviously they want a lot of their games to sell 10, 15, 20 million copies, but raising up that price could have people looking at your subscription services a bit more, like PlayStation Plus, right? Whether it's extra or premium, or just waiting on a sale for the game. And it's hard to blame people right now with some of these AAA releases. We just talked about Jedi Survivor and how that launched. A lot of people are going to hold off on that $70 game. It's not really inspiring confidence going forward in some of these bigger releases if they're going to show up like that. So now Sony obviously needs to convince more and more people to get to the PS5 system so that they start buying those $70 games in mass. And from what we've seen, just based on their most recent quarter and their projections for this next upcoming fiscal year, seems like they're on track for another 25 million PlayStation 5 systems to be tacked onto their total, which would not only catch them up to the PS4, but actually kind of springboard past it. So I am curious about the $70 price tag on these games, especially to go the rest of the way through this generation. When we see the PS5 eclipse 100 million consoles sold, will we still see 20 to 25 million games sell even at that full price? It's hard to say, but at least for now, Sony seem pretty happy with the amount of revenue that they're bringing in, again, setting records across the board. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about the NFL draft, an unlikely source for a new video game to kind of get thrown out there. And this was actually done in a post-interview set up with the Baltimore Ravens. And you can see Wario64 tweeting this out here. And this is from the interview here that was done over Zoom, I believe. It's from Caillou Blue Kelly. Now, he was drafted by the Baltimore Ravens out of Stanford, 5th round cornerback. So, hey, congratulations there. But during this interview with the press, randomly, one member of the press asked about a video game and I guess also like a TV show or something, some kind of deal that he had in place with Microsoft, and he described this game as a SEAL Team 6 that travels back in time to stop people from trying to change historic events. It was really funny, by the way, as he's talking about this, he keeps looking off camera and goes, oh, no, wait, no, yep, okay, I'm saying too much. Yeah, that's kind of what happens, though, with a lot of these things, because we do see musical artists or whoever kind of talk about games as if everyone already knows it exists when it does, like, that's not out there yet. Happened with Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Remember when that, the remake that they did for Tony Hawk 1 and 2, there are people who just kind of, skateboarders even talked about it. Oh yeah, I just did this mocap for the new Tony Hawk game, or I just did this new song for the soundtrack they're putting in. But this is just commonplace here for something like this, when the secrecy of gaming, or at least the gaming industry, is just not known as well by people outside of it necessarily. So there you go. Some, I guess, new concept for a game. SEAL Team 6 going back in time to stop people trying to change historic events. That sounds interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing at least what that would look like in video game form. No clue who's actually developing it. Just apparently that Microsoft is, I guess, fronting some money, publishing, marketing deals. There's a lot of questions there. So I guess we'll wait to see when this concept pops up in front of us during a showcase at some point. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're going to take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, are you buying less games now due to the jump from $60 to $70 for new titles? 72% say yes, 28% say no. I looked through the comments. There are a lot of reasons given as to why they may be skipping the $70 price point, especially on day one, which comes out to either I just wait for games to go on sale in general, or I rent them, to I don't trust the state of the game when it comes out. And I mean, look at Jedi Survivor. I can't really blame you at this point, especially on the PC side. It's been a really rough couple of releases for PC where they're below average or just outright poor. So again, confidence is kind of shaken in general when it comes to the AAA side of gaming, which is targeting this $70 price point. And games go on sale very quickly. There are subscription services out there like Game Pass or PlayStation Plus, extra tier, I'd say, specifically over something like Premium. So basically, there's a lot of other stuff to play, and you can kind of hold out and wait for the $70 to drop maybe to $50, and then $40, and then $30. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Chris. Says, looking at the back of my Jedi Survivor Xbox case, I see the 60 FPS logo. I'm guessing they want to use this as a marketing feature going forward. This was because I asked people to look at the back of their Xbox cases to see if 60 FPS was there, since it was on that Redfall case. Many people told me that yes, 60 FPS is there. It's unfortunate now for Redfall to see that little sticker on it, but most likely that was an actual thing that retailers were kind of doing there. I hope 60 FPS, or just frame rate in general, the general public becomes more aware of frame rate, because that's what's going to get these developers to focus on frame rate over trying to make everything look really shiny and pretty and stuff in the game. I kind of feel like visuals, for me anyway, are getting to that point where it's good enough, and I'd be more interested to see what they could do if their time was spent on world building, maybe artistic style, and performance, first and foremost. But yeah, that's something that I'm hoping we see just more or less going forward. 60 FPS across the board, and Microsoft's able to actually hit that with some of their upcoming first-party games like Starfield. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here. Today was Nintendo seemingly having to deal with Tears of the Kingdom getting out there early and probably leaking online anytime now. And then also, what about Jedi Survivor? How has it been performing for you? Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.